Hey, we got some soda. OJ, purple stuff, Sunny Delight.
Sunny Delight.
Yeah.
何もない。
This episode of DonBrothers really goes to show that the long-term investment in the writing of these characters, except Shinichi, gets you invested in them. So, if something happens to them, you, absolutely, not you, care about, definitely not you, what happens to, not you, them. Especially that last one. R.I.P. Space Fives. Now that Tsubasa has officially been promoted from being guest star to main star, our 6th Ranger has finally joined the squad. So, we got the party going, we got the jello shots, stripper poles for Shinichi to be relevant, so where's the new guy? Out here reading manga. It's future Haruka's manga, which would shed light on everything happening, and that will still happen. So he doesn't have time to get invested with these weirdos, because he's got someone to save. Speaking of weirdos though, Jiro's holding Taro to his word about checking out his village. But Tsubasa wants in as well. But here's Tsuyoshi to drag things down. Not being accepting of his Eskimo brother being part of the crew, especially when last time he smashed, she disappeared before breakfast. Of course, Haruka wouldn't be Haruka without confusion over the matter, since last time she saw Natsumi, she thought that actresses were just built differently and totally not beasts from another dimension. Tsuyoshi isn't taking all this wife slander standing up though, leaving them behind. So, what's Miho actually up to? Fighting strays by moonlight, leaving love by daylight, never looking for a real fight, she is the one named... Wrong show. With how big this town is, you'd think the odds of any one of the DonBros running into this tussle would be like a 1% chance, but this is Inoue we're talking about, so Taro's conveniently walking by. Joining in as they flee, the timing is just right for Taro to actually question her regarding the Jutos again, since she spoke of them as essentially being harmless, so she passes the buck over to the Don clan, but Taro ain't having it. After all, she's been playing Tsuyoshi and Inu brother like it's a classic episode of Jerry Springer. She ain't denying it though, so Taro expounds a little more that Jutos have had their fun, but playtime is definitely over, so she drops a nugget about the moon existing, not just in the sky, so I guess it's time for me to go do some research real fast and find out what that means. Now on to the village. It's just Taro, Tsubasa, and Jiro on the bus ride. Why is Tsubasa so adamant about visiting though? Future Haruka's manga makes too many references to allude to Jiro's village being the home of the Jutos, with their gateway being through the refrigerator. So that's how she freed him. Meanwhile, Elevator Sononi, with the rest of the Noto, contemplate how they proceed with their newfound humanity. Maybe join the DonBros? But the issue is, they've kinda killed a lot of humans. So, how do they fix this? Convenient last-minute plot MacGuffin that wasn't previously alluded to or mentioned. The almighty Ring of Forgiveness. That's cool. Where's it at? The Juto Forest? How convenient. That's where the plot has been taking us to. If only the Jutos used the Ring of Forgiveness themselves to make humanity forgive their current actions. All of this current cramming of plot seems like the perfect time for a visual metaphor of something happening right... There we go. Back at the village, things are looking a little bit run down. Abandoned even. So, when Jiro leaves the bros at his daddy's house without daddy there, they get to inspecting that refrigerator. I just realized, if the forest is in the fridge and Natsumi's in there, they are making a literal girlfriend in the fridge trope joke. I see you, Inoue. I see you. Tsubasa goes in looking for that girlfriend just to find breaking and entering charges. While all that's going on, Sonoza gets greeted by his replacement. Meanwhile, Sononi...
There's alcohol in here. Way too many. Here, what's this? It's holiday eggnog. Ooh, this thing expired a month ago. There we go.
No spill! Why haven't I been doing this from the beginning? Deals with sloppy seconds just to get ouch. Out. I can't say those words. That chick is not a suitable replacement. What's Taro and Tsubasa doing? They eat up Jiro's daddy's roots just to get a deep penetration of lore. Jiro's dad is indeed a penguin Juto, but he's also a Don Clan member. See, but before he goes a little bit further, you gotta get that baby oil and lotion ready. He wants himself a rub down before giving y'all the rundown. As a Don Clan member, he wanted that immortality perk of being a Juto, but his role served similar to Jin's, serving as a gatekeeper to the Juto world, but in this case, serving as the host for them in the forest, raising Jiro to be his replacement once he dies, which apparently is soon. Turns out that Jutos do indeed have a lifespan, and they only live as long as their host, and his is rocking a shitty wig just over 100 years old. These aren't the answers that Tsubasa wanted, so he just dips out, having Taro follow behind him, having our red and black tussle, the likes of which hasn't been seen since Ryu and Guy in Jetman. I'm sure we're gonna have a good end here. Right? Right? God damn it, Inoue. Tsubasa wants to take down every Juto within the forest as revenge for Natsumi. Taro thinks the Juto are just fine being contained. All these leads to more attention to Don Murasame off-screen than they ever did on-screen. Mother would be so proud. But that tussle gets blocked by a very loud Jiro, Rumi, and his other buddies. Imaginary friends. Or just invisible. I don't know what the deal is, but either way, they feeding him that paper. But not if Taro has anything to do with it. I feel like I'm missing something here. Tsuyoshi! This man is matching my personal favorite, Minoru, as his lust for his pretend wife makes him once again change into a Hitotsuki! Gao Access style. But he plays it smart. Knowing that the DonBros can't go down on Itaijin without him, he quickly goes bigly. But on the other side of the map, Taro, in order to stop Terasaki from Jutoing up Jiro, eats the origami, opening up the Juto gate. But in the process, the Don Blaster summons King Oger? Taking Tsuyoshi down easily. It looks like 10 bugs can beat 100 beasts. Getting taken down to size, Tsuyoshi gets attacked by the return of Sonoshi. Oh shit. You know what that means, right? Original Noto abilities, when you're beat, you're erased. He's gone. And with that, the reveal of the replacement Notos have arrived, all while Taro chills in the Juto forest. Rating time! I really should be doing merch, but I'm already overworked as is. Plus, I don't think I can sell a shirt that actually features the actress's face all over it. I don't know. I'd have to get permissions. Nah, it's not gonna be a thing. It's not gonna be a thing. Unless... Nah. Let me stop. This episode of Down Bros raises the stakes with a major revelation I didn't see coming in the form of Terasaki's true identity. The Notos having their internal conflicts, the reactions of Tsubasa joining the team going very unconventional, and a mech introduction that seemed a little out of place. Overall, I had a hell of a time with this week's episode, and for that, it's going to be a Sononi S Plus Maximum Thirst Ants Was Better Than Bug's Life edition. I'm just stating facts. I was debating over talking forums because of the King Oger reveal before the official release of the series, but look, I'll just state this. I was surprised that the suit looked so good in motion, as I thought it would be a little bit of a clusterfuck on screen. But then looking at the figure itself, since it relies heavily on how bland and plain the appendages are for the Kawagata, everything else is just literally laying on it, so it's still kinda meh in my opinion, but it's better than what I was initially thinking. Am I gonna end up buying the toy? Probably not. So, the real thing that seems to be confusing here is how the King Oger mech was actually summoned. Since it looks like Taro was entering the Juto forest, the Dawn Blaster, in the process of trying to transform him, probably gets caught in the portal, which might have mistakenly pulled in a King Oger gear from it. That's my current thought process, but it seems to be a classic DonBrothers ass pull, which is different from how Taro showed up in Zenkaiger, which honestly that felt a little bit more organic. So let's talk Jiro's village and its inhabitants. Being that the village has been abandoned fully for what appears to be 100 or so years, one thing that feels a little bit of either an inconsistency or a rewrite to the initial plan is the villagers, as they appear to be nothing more than an influence of Jiro's mind, and possibly a construct made by Terasaki himself. But if you pay attention to Rumi's previous appearances, and that to Jiro's friends, there's a lot off. One of which was visiting Jiro during that one episode, or rather, the lack of visiting Jiro in the one episode. Because in her original visit, she changes her mind and talks to, I believe it was her mom, about changing her mind on even going. Seems a little odd to make both a fake girl and a parent if they don't really exist to begin with. And even going back to Jiro's first debut, after he gets on the bus, his friends proceed to mock him right after he gets on the bus. Why add any of that if they weren't real? The only explainer that I can think about in regards to this inconsistency is that they did in fact exist, but were just recently taken over by the Juto. But that still wouldn't explain most things. Anyone else got any theories on this? It's nice to know that the Notos are having conflicting emotions and genuinely do want to join the Donbros in order to better themselves. But, of course, this sets up the arrival of Sonoshi and his team of Sonogo and Sonoroku, which, in terms of their designs, the only thing I find really lacking about them is their undersuits compared to the first four Notos. But this dynamic might play a big role going into the endgame. Or not. Shit. Last time with this whole Sonoshi nonsense, it ended up just being another monster of the week. The only thing that can come into play is that every one-off thing that has happened thus far will have a dramatic over-the-top face-off. I'm talking the return of Don Killer, the return of Don Killer Killer, all the Notos, that mysterious Juto that kidnapped Natsumi, Minoru, Kira Kilalala, Ghost Girl, Piano Mom, everything in between, and of course, the Donbros in one major final showdown. Is this overthinking it? No. I'm being perfectly rational as far as the context of DonBrothers go. All of this could really happen. So now let's go back to talking the Juto and Terasaki in particular. The biggest reveal here was not only that he was a Juto, because the predictions were kinda there, but that he was also a Don Clan member. Like I said, I did not see that one coming. Though, looking at some of the listings for it, they say that he's a Juto that possessed the original Don Clan member, but the person in the forest is dressed very similarly to what the Japanese officers would have worn in the 1920s. So I believe it's safe to assume that he is an actual Don Clan member who converted himself into being a Juto, Thus, why he could still be in a proper mind and then copied the appearance of a man to cling on to his life force. Which is another thing entirely, now that we know that the Jutos just live as long as their hosts do. So, they are more invincible than they are immortal. Not being subjugated to improper diseases or injuries while being in the forest and likely getting pumped full of life-sustaining nutrients would probably keep the human body living longer than the current average. So it kinda makes sense. The entire forest is just a giant life support machine. However, now we gotta transition to Jiro. We've been led to believe that he's a Juto, or at least one of his personalities is. And this could still be the case if we take what I just said about Terasaki. If he exists as a Juto and a Don Clan member, he could have fundamentally existed as a dual persona being, until he unified, taking on his purpose to watch over the forest and taken on the image of the original man that was in the village. So Jiro could still be a Juto in that thought process, but his final purpose could be taking the ownership of the forest, and now with Taro there, possibly even temporarily taking on his image. After all, his original purpose was essentially to replace Taro. This time, he could do it literally if he's within the forest. Now, in previous reviews, I always led in terms of the folklore of Son Wukong, which Don Dorogoku is loosely inspired by. The particular tale is the one of becoming the guardian of the Peach Garden. Well, that garden is the Juto Forest, and with Taro now there, the peach is in. In eating the peaches, he gains the ability of immortality. So, Taro being in the forest, and Jiro going there assuming the title of Guardian from Terasaki will likely be his proper character arc. This will likely play into the Murasame plotline as well, since Jiro and Murasame do share an affinity as well as counteracting points to the Juto. The big mystery I'm trying to understand is the moon line that's mentioned by Miho, saying that it does not just exist in the sky. I looked at previous episodes, seeing if the moon would appear in the Noto world, but nothing. And even looked at different Japanese folklore to see if there was some attributes to the moon there, but nothing relating to this as far as I could gather. But recently, I was watching a Did You Know gaming video on one of my favorite video games of all time, which is Zelda Majora's Mask, and some of their developer secrets, in which it was revealed that the reason why the interior of the moon looks so nature-filled versus what you would expect from a hostile exterior that moon looked like was actually inspired by the anime space battleship Yamato and the planet Iskandar, which got me thinking. What if the moon is just the proper housing for the Juto? Just a random thought on that one, since there's really so much to what's going on in DonBros right now that this is just gonna be crazy. And I'm recording this on a Tuesday night, and I know I won't be finished editing this until probably Wednesday. Hell, I won't even start editing this until Wednesday. So this is definitely not coming out until around Thursday at the earliest. So, hello, future comments. I have no idea what you're gonna say. So, what did you think about this week's Lore Brothers? Jiro's stepdaddy being a Don Clan member, Tsuyoshi being dead, the King Ojirmech, and getting hints of the future by the future. No portal, right? Cool. Anyway, that's it for me. Sorry for the late review this week. That Geeks review really put my lack of sleep into overdrive, considering I was up until 4 a.m. that early Monday morning just trying to get it out. So, until next time, bye.